that is going to take you to Jersey Shore.
Show me what you're crying for. I'll wipe your tears on up. If you're so taking love, we'll come for you for sure. If we're caught in a wave, I will carry you over. It don't matter where you are, I'll run to your front door. When my head goes in different directions, you know my heart's never on the moon. And in the dark times, you don't have to question. Find my heart where we are. You could put an ocean between our love. It won't keep us apart. You got better love, run it up, just to get to your heart. If we're caught in a wave, maybe we'll make a way. You got better ocean between our love. It won't keep us apart. You got better. It won't keep us apart. You got better. Shadows play on idle hands. I lose myself if I do. But I find my way to velvet sands. I'll crash right into you. If we're caught in a wave, I will carry you over. It don't matter where we are, you're still the one I choose. When my head goes in different directions, you know my heart's never on the moon. And in the dark times, you don't have to question. Find my heart where we are. You could put an ocean between our love. It won't keep us apart. You got better love, run it up, just to get to your heart. If we're caught in a wave, maybe we'll make a way. You got better ocean between our love. It won't keep us apart. You got better. It won't keep us apart. You got better. You got better. We got better. Keep us apart.
Whoa, what is up, everybody? And welcome to another episode of In My Opinion with me, Pro/Dave, whatever you want to call me. It doesn't matter. You can call me Pro, you can call me Dave. And we're here to talk about wrestling today. It's one of those days. It's just one of those days. And I got some special guests coming in. Actually, they're here now. They're just waiting there. Menacingly. No, but they're there today. We're gonna bring them in. As you know, the title says, it's with the Universal Pod. Looks like we got. Give me 1 second here, guys. Looks like we got Nick and
Yo.
Keith. Yo,
What's good?
what's going on?
There it is.
There we are. The whole squad's here. Well, what's going
Yes,
on,
sir.
guys?
Not a thing, man. How you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm doing excellent. As you can see, I'm wearing my Michigan colors. They had a big win over the
Did they?
weekend,
Okay.
so it's a great start,
There you go.
for the week. I'm gonna be wearing this all week because they
Oh,
beat
man.
Ohio State. And if you guys, I don't know if you guys follow college football at all, but
I do not.
that is a big deal.
Okay.
What's going on, Justin Time? What's going on? But yeah, what's going on? I don't know if I introduced myself. My name is David, and obviously you guys are Nick and Keith.
Yes.
Before we get started with the fun stuff,
Yeah.
you mind telling us what you guys are all about over at the UW Pod?
Yeah, absolutely. So we just really do what every other podcast you hear or you see. We talk professional wrestling as well as interviews. Right now, we're just doing a lot of live streams. We haven't done that in a while at all, to be honest. What, Keith? This is our 5th one, so we're trying to get that under our belt.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So tomorrow, today's
Thursday.
Thursday, we're going live and we're going to do a debate special. It's going to be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds cool, man.
Yeah.
And obviously you guys haven't been on the show before, but
Oh.
In my opinion, basically you can pick whatever topic you want, past or present, as long as it's wrestling, right?
Got it.
And you just,
you
just shoot the shit on it and we give our opinions on it. For instance, like Monday Night Raw, how'd you feel about that? Full Gear, stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't know who I was talking to on
That's
Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, that's you?
Yeah.
Well, you seem like you had you told me that you had a lot to say. So
Yes,
I'm kind of
sir.
curious.
He's the whole face of the operation. I'm just like I'm like the meat in the sandwich.
There
He's
you
the
go.
Oh, okay.
he's the plate presentation over there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you. So you
Yes,
run all
sir.
the social medias here.
Yeah. A little bit of everything. So I guess I'll go first.
Right.
You want to get
Whoever
going?
wants to go first.
Sure. So Keith and I did a prediction show for obviously War Games Survivor Series, and the key word that I had, Keith, was predictable. And I'm gonna, change that. I don't know if that's the right term for that pay-per-view. I'm thinking it's more logical. Every single outcome was logical. I think I overthought things like what podcasters do because we talk about it nonstop. I overthought, like, for instance, the main event. Like, how logical is it that Sammy helps Jay? Like, what? That's something that exactly. That's what I mean. It's so logical. And then Becky winning, like what? Like, of course. Why would anyone else win? I thought it was predictable. Some matches were, like the women's match, that seemed pretty predictable for the women's SmackDown title.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the word of the week is logical.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that to some extent. I mean, I predicted wrong. I had the heel women team, Damage Control, and them going over. To me, that was more logical until Becky came back. But we obviously predicted before any of that happened. But I still stand by. Feel like they should have. I mean, I get, you want the big, oh my God, she's back. Look at it go. That whole everything. I feel like there was more logic in letting that heel team win, though, because they kind of haven't done a whole lot of anything since showing up. Yeah. I mean, I love all three of them in Damage Control. I love Rhea more than I can't say that
any
too
man
loud.
show.
Probably mostly, yeah. She's
I can say it.
She's the best ever.
Yeah. She's just great.
They could have her beat Gunther for the IC title, and I wouldn't be mad.
And she would still be
solid. Yeah. Exactly. And she could defend the shit out of it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. That's not a slight on Gunther either. I love that guy more than life itself also.
Okay.
But I love him too. Just She's the best. Oh my god! I tweeted about it like the next day. They had the clip when they were like coming out of the cage. Like Io came out first and she like fell, and then Rhea came out after and just like put her on her shoulders and carried her back. And I'm like, between that and then her doing the friggin' pull-ups in the cage, like we don't deserve to be alive during a time machine wrestling. It's just we're just so privileged for that. But go ahead. My gushing on her aside. I love Bayley too. Io's always been awesome from NXT when she was Io Shirai, and I've always had a soft spot for Dakota and everything. But it was like they came back. Io and Dakota have the women's tag belts, but that kind of doesn't really mean anything because those belts are beyond diminished. And Bayley, she's won all of the women's titles you possibly can in WWE, besides holding the Divas title before they changed it, and she hasn't really won at all since she came back. And like I feel like getting a dirty kind of heel win with her actually getting the pin even on like Becky could have been a more logical thing too, to give them a boost that they need to and have her then be able to start running her mouth off about like, oh, I beat your hero and da-da-da-da-da. But
and I also think you can't just insert, I mean, I guess you can, but it doesn't seem like that's what they're doing. They're not going to insert Becky into the title picture. I think it's going to be her and Bayley, right? That's what it looks like.
That's what it should be, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, logic, you would say yes to that. But, I mean, Theory cashing in, not, unsuccessfully.
To an open challenge.
And then him winning at War Games. I mean, that's not very logical. But they were in an issue. They were in, what we said, Keith, a sticky situation with whoever, Vince leaving. It was a mess. It was a mess. So, I mean, what do you do with Bianca? I mean, it looks like Bliss is continuing the storyline of, things popping up on the screen in the background, and maybe she's going to be part of Wyatt. I don't know. And then who are they teaming up? Oh, yeah, Asuka. Maybe Asuka and Belair, but Did anything happen on Raw that I missed? Did they start a feud yet with Belair?
No, they had like that backstage with the three of them, Bianca, Asuka, and Alexa, where Kathy Kelly was like interviewing them and was like, "It was a great win, right, Alexa?" And like put the mic to her, and she was just like,
"Yeah, okay,
oh yeah." Like, and like when she snapped in, it was like the Wyatt fly behind her.
So I do not know. I mean.
I do like how they're putting in seeds. They're planting seeds.
Yeah.
But God, is it a slow process?
Yeah.
It is such a slow process with Triple H at the helm. I didn't realize how much, I thought like, you hear about stories about Vince McMahon and he would change the scripts the night of and things
hours before
a show. And how easy it was for him to do that. And then you turn over to Triple H and it's like, how come he can't just like, all right, we're ditching all of this. This was dumb. Why? I don't know.
I think part of the reason I feel like he can do that. I feel like it's just a matter of, we all like bitched for so long as wrestling fans about like, oh, Vince doesn't listen to the fans. Like they're not listening to the fans and stuff. And I think one of the big things when everyone was kind of touting that, like towing that line so hard was, having more like long-term storytelling in WWE in particular, because AEW does a little bit of a better job with some of them. I mean, the Hangman and Omega, like that story arc for Omega winning or Hangman winning the title was just like the whole redemption arc where he couldn't do it and he was drinking and the Dark Order pulled him from the gutter and shit. That's a soap opera. Like, get out of here. So like they were doing it really well. So like when all of that was happening was when Vince was just kind of like, hey, here's Austin Theory I brought up from NXT, and I like him, so I'm just going to throw him into the Money in the Bank match without telling anybody, and he's going to win it. And we're like, well, what the fuck, man? No hate to Theory. I love him, but like that was like a really just like whoop and like okay
situation.
So I think Trips is kind of like trying to like mend some of that, but I'm right there with you that like some of it's I want more long-term storytelling in my wrestling, but I don't want all long-term story in wrestling. Like I'm okay with it. Just like, this is the thing that's happening right now. Boom. Immediate instant gratification. Next.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'll even go back. Let me backtrack. I said that Theory cash in. Yeah, that wasn't logical. But him winning at Survivor Series, I think made sense. Just because you know where Seth is going. At the time, we didn't. I'm going to speak for myself. I had Seth winning. I thought, let's continue this awesome reign of United States champion. And then you just, what do they say? Hindsight's 2020. You look back and it's like, why wouldn't Theory win? Why wouldn't he win? I mean, Lashley's there just to make it a triple threat. And Seth, we thought, and again, I thought that Bobby was there to get pinned, and he didn't. So it's funny how things work. And
to be fair, you guys should have known because he was the only one with a Beyblades background.
Oh, yeah,
that was the funniest shit I've ever seen in my fucking life. I was watching it and that happened, and I was about to put into our group chat, just yo, since when does Theory have a Beyblade background thing for his Tron? And then I just saw everything else on Twitter light up. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, I'm surprised Vince hasn't. I feel like he's done that. I don't remember that, but that's a first.
Theory let it rip.
Yeah, that's how you sell, pal. Put it on the Titantron.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
I honestly thought it was his for a minute too, because I know AEW does that a lot. Sammy Guevara's Tron is all Dragon Ball Z'd out and everything. So I was all right, maybe Theory's super into Beyblade, and that's what he wanted on his Tron.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just what an odd, obscure thing to be into if that was the case, Yeah. Fucking Beyblade.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that was hilarious, because then it also, what was it? Whoever it cut to Cole, and it was just and Beyblade.
Yeah. Don't forget Beyblade.
It was he was so panicked for the promo. He's wait, what?
No, I thought it was a good idea. And honestly, if I'm being honest, I thought the Theory, Seth, or did I say Seth? That's his name, right? Yeah. Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley match was the only good match that night.
Whoa.
Yeah. In my opinion, of course.
Now, good matches in just wrestling, not the storyline. That's a different
just
thing.
Wrestling. I would say as a wrestling match. Yeah. Storyline wise, I would say the Bloodline. Obviously.
Oh, the ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? That's not a bad one. It's not a bad take. It's not a crazy
as a pay-per-view as a whole. I just think it was subpar.
Damn. And why is that? Because there was a lot of great moments, right? In my opinion,
I guess part of me is just comparing the two recent pay-per-views together. If you compare Full Gear with
not last year's Survivor Series, you're kind of
which one is objectively better? I mean, I shouldn't say objectively, but which one looks better? And I think Survivor Series was just not. It had its moments, but it just wasn't there fully. Not every match felt like it mattered.
Yeah.
And and not to say that AEW is perfect, because
no,
it never is, but
right.
Their matches, at least, even though I wasn't initially hooked on them at first, they got me hooked. I was watching some other match. I forgot the whole card at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
But there was just a match there. I was just like, man, I could care less about who wins this. And I forgot who it was.
I think that's that was part of it. Was it was weird that it was I mean, in my opinion, I liked Survivor Series as a whole, because I'm a sucker for war games. I love just car crash wrestling with it. I love a story and everything like that too. But I love just let's just get in here and beat the shit out of each other too. But I've said in the past too, and it's excuse me. I feel like they're trying to change it a little bit, but they're still not quite there. Like I don't need like Nick Gage death matches all the time with like light tubes and pizza cutters and all that kind of stuff. I do enjoy that too, but I don't need that all the time, especially on WWE, because I understand why they can't do that. But I kind of hate like I can't remember, somebody had like tweeted it out like after the fact too, that like War Games matches, especially like War Games needs blood. Like every one of them in the past was. I don't think the NXT ones necessarily did, but like I kind of just, I'm not a huge fan of like, it takes away something from me for like any kind of hardcore style kind of matches like that, like a War Games or even a, a Falls Count Anywhere or whatever, that it's like WWE now, it's just like, okay, we have these matches so you can use tables, you can use a chair, you can use a kendo stick, you can use a ladder, you can use a trash can. Like it's like this list of like 7 things. Occasionally, if it's something really crazy and we're in Saudi Arabia and you're Seth Rollins and or Edge, we can bring out a toolbox too. But like, bring me back the tack spots, man. Like, again, I don't need them every single time this kind of stipulation comes up. But, like, tacks are devastating. Out of anything else, I'll watch a dude fall through, like, 6 tables, and it's like, that's crazy. Yeah. I could watch a guy get, like, lightly shoved into a pile of thumbtacks, and I'm like, oh, God. Like, it's so much worse.
Yeah.
So well, I think, like,
go ahead.
No, I mean, that was kind of, like, I just feel like, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the pay-per-view as a whole. I enjoyed both the War Games matches, but there should be more violence. It's called War Games. Like make it more war-like. It shouldn't just be like, okay, we need to have this crazy spot where somebody jumps off the top of the cage. I enjoy those too.
Yeah.
But like even with that in the women's match, I enjoyed that like that spot and everything, but it's like Io jumped off the top of the cage in NXT with a trash can on her.
Yeah,
like she's not topping that, and if you're not going to top that on here, at least like do it again with her, because that's like make that her thing for War Games. Awesome.
Yeah,
like
And I think it's the person at the helm. I think it's Tony Khan, and I think it's Triple H. And Triple H is more by the book, by each chapter. This is what we're going to do because it makes sense for the long run. That's why most of the things were so logical at the end of the freaking show. And I wish I could have. I don't know. And Tony Khan, you know what? Let's start Full Gear with Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, and just tear it down. And they did. And it's just the difference in, again, I guess, logic. It's difference in who is booking, who has the pencil. I mean, you hear it all the time. Triple H is always by the book. Regal, we're going to get him back. Fit Finlay, he's in the back. All these old timers are in the back, and they went by the book too. What's real is real, and you're going to make it, as real as possible. And you go, there's little things, when you walk into the ring, you dust your boots off. There's wipe things the like that, wipe your boots. Things like that make me. That's the reason why I believe the War Games was, just added out of nowhere, and let's put Damage Control and Rhea together. What? It's just so maybe there's the disconnect, because that didn't make sense. And I don't need blood. I just want it to be entertaining. It just depends, I mean, the blood did help the cage match for Full Gear. I thought that was something that it really needed. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Here's a question for you guys. As far as a War Games style match, who did it better? Who has done it better? WWE or Blood and Guts?
Most certainly WWE. Absolutely. 110%. I don't think there's anyone that can, maybe WCW, but I didn't watch it, then. So yes, if I had to compare one to the other, I would think. Now, I guess we can look into it and say NXT version was probably better.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like there's got to be like some, like, where do you cap it with WWE? Because if it's going back through like since they started doing War Games in NXT, I feel like WWE definitely has it in some of them. Because I mean, and that's not to say that I haven't enjoyed the Blood and Guts ones with AEW, because they're great too. But like even those are sometimes, as much as I just said, like I feel like War Games needs blood. Some of the like the second Blood and Guts match in particular with the JAS with Daddy Magic, like covered. I mean, that promo he cut afterwards is like gives me fucking chills when he's like talking about missing his kid's first steps and shit because he's in there getting his ass beat and bloodied up. He took a nasty thumbtack bump in that match too. Like, you know, sometimes like I think it's a difference where the WWE ones have, as much as I want the blood, they have done, at least in NXT, they've done a good job with their War Games matches where, like, I didn't really miss the blood until Survivor Series this time around. Other ones, you know, the ones with just all the ones with Undisputed Era, one when it was when Roddy Strong was teamed with Authors of Pain and then turned on the mid-match and joined, you know what I mean? Like,
and the
all that stuff was just wow, just, like all of that. All of that stuff was great without the blood.
You don't need it,
you know. Whereas, like, I guess that's what I'm trying to say is like WWE has a little bit of a leg up on it because they've done it for a little bit longer because AEW just in general is a younger company. AEW said what, 2 Blood and Guts or 3? If it's 3, I don't know what the third one was. I know there was the first one. It was the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. And then there was the JAS and the Blackpool Combat Club.
I think there was one more. Yeah,
there was. I think there was only 2.
Only 2. Okay.
I don't know. If there is a third one, I don't remember what it was, which is saying something. But I just I think it's where it's tough because like the Blackpool Combat Club and the JAS one, that was never going to be a bad one because I love 2.0. I love Bryan Danielson. I love Claudio. I fucking love Eddie Kingston. They're all in part of it. Like, just cool. It's going to be great. And that one was really good. There was a good amount of brutality there. But when I think of the other one with the Pinnacle, I honestly, the rest of the match might have been really good because there's a lot of dudes in that I like too. But all I can think about is the end when Jericho got thrown off the top through like the steel that totally popped up and saw the crash pads underneath, which I'm not going to be one of those assholes that's like, well, he should have fell on steel. Because no, he shouldn't. He's like fucking 50. He might have friggin' died. But like, you're Tony Khan. You own the Jaguars and like a national football team elsewhere, like a national soccer team and stuff, dude. Like, show a little bit of money out to make it look a little bit better than it just pops up immediately and we see the crash pads underneath like the fake steel boards.
Yeah.
So like I can't even tell you if there was any other cool spots in the rest of that match. I'm sure there was, but all I think about with that was MJF pushing him off the top and him falling onto, you know, stuffing under cardboard or whatever it was.
He was pretty close on hitting his head though.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I understand why it had to happen. And again, I didn't want to see him fall onto straight steel. Just, you know, there's a way to like, you know, there's a middle ground here somewhere between actual steel and, you know, cardboard painted to look like steel plates with very clearly crash pads underneath it.
So it's just odd because I've heard some people say that the way Blood and Guts is the way that I think they said that War Games was like back in WCW days. It emulates it a lot more than anything WWE has. So that's why I ask you guys, you know, who do you think did it better as far as from its original, you know, conception?
I think it does just because AEW does the closed cage, the closed top. That was like the old school classic WCW. The War Games was the closed top cage. Which WWE doesn't do, and I don't really know why they don't. I guess because they want to like differentiate it from Hell in a Cell, maybe.
Cameras too, you would think.
But yeah, I guess.
But then again, man, like those camera cuts. I don't know if you guys watched the first match with the ladies, but those camera cuts, I was gonna throw up. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, I think I'm just so used to it.
Yeah.
I can't
get numb to it.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
I hear you. You're not wrong, but it's like you kind of just get like numb to saying it. I hate the like you don't zoom in as they hit and
when you like don't watch it fully, because usually when I'm watching Raw or SmackDown, I'm looking down at my phone. But this time around, you know, I was doing a live stream watch along, so I had to stare at it. And I'll tell you what, man, those camera cuts killed me. Camera cuts killed me. But yeah, no, I don't know. What else do we have here? you said Nick, you had a lot to talk about. Was that it?
Let's see.
No,
we can talk about it. Let's talk about Ronda. How about that? That's an interesting topic.
That's a hot topic.
So, what is her? How much longer is this going to go on? Her reign of, I don't want to say terror because I don't think it's that bad, but it's to the point where it's A, you're tuning out. B, it's God, I love seeing Blackheart in on Survivor Series. I thought that was good, but she wasn't the next woman up. They don't really have much for her. She's not good on the mic. She's not good in the ring. I don't know what you do. I know she still has the name, but at this point, I think it's time to, close the door on this chapter. Maybe have her come back once in a while, but I don't know what you do. It's hard to, it's kind of like Jade, right? Like, what do you do with someone that can't wrestle, someone that can't, she does cut great promos, but that's mainly backstage. I don't know. I guess this is the Goldberg effect. Like, what did they do? It's a different time and a different place and a different company, but just that, like Omos, that's another example. Like, he had his WrestleMania match, then he had another match.
He beat Johnny Gargano the other night.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with someone like this. Yeah, the name's big. Yeah, Jade looks beautiful. Yeah, she's getting there, but what do you do? How do you still capitalize on the name Ronda and not just, kick her to the curb?
I don't know. She ain't doing herself any favors.
Yeah.
Really. She's got to be one of the worst promos I've ever heard. She's just not convincing whatsoever. But go ahead, Keith. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't want to cut you off there. If you can go. I got all kinds of thoughts about that.
She's not good. She's not good as a face. People boo her when she's a face. When she tries to heel it up, she does it way too much. She doesn't know how to balance herself.
Yeah.
I guess she doesn't know how to do more than I don't know how to say it without.
She has the passion. She just doesn't know how to use it.
Right.
You can see that every now and then when she's out in the ring and
towards
she's
one thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work for some people. She needs to find she has no character is what I'm saying. I don't even know what she is.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
They try to do it for her by saying she's a badass.
Yep.
And from what I'm seeing none of that.
Yeah.
She just looks like I don't know.
And the thing too is, yes, some wrestlers can be successful if they're in, the shoes that Ronda, where, the situation Ronda's in right now. But it's more difficult to get over that hill when the fans just don't like you. And I think that's the issue too. There's a disconnect there. I thought she was a bad MF for her first run. That might get her into the Hall of Fame, but then again, anyone can get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Right.
Her first run with, Angle and that match at Mania with Steph and Triple H and Rock when they did that SmackDown thing, that was a pretty bomb run. I don't know what you do, but you need to capitalize on her because she still is bringing in money. I don't know T-shirts and action figures, but she's got the name. So what do you do?
That's where I disagree though, is because is she still that name? She's been out of UFC for how long now? And when she left UFC, she had gotten her ass beat for the last time.
It was not a good, yeah.
I remember even when she first came in, because I don't disagree with you at all, Nick. With the first run, I had the high hopes for it too.
Yeah.
But I remember telling my wife, who couldn't give less of a shit about anything to do with wrestling. But I remember telling her just oh yeah, Ronda Rousey, because she knew the name too. She doesn't watch UFC either, but she knew the name. And I was yeah, Ronda Rousey's in WWE now, and she's oh really?
Yeah.
So she's not even then in the beginning, she wasn't bringing the casuals in. now at this point, with how long she's been out of UFC, the kind of fall from grace she had toward the end of her UFC run, I don't know that she's still bringing anybody in with that. And I think one of the reasons why her first run was so awesome and we loved it so much was because there were so many things that were like promising for it, but they were just like this, and we'll just, all these things we have that are so good looking, we'll just do them all now. Yeah. Like that match, that Mania match with her and Angle against Hunter and Stephanie. One of the main reasons to me, I don't remember how great of a worker or anything she was in that, her first match or whatever. But the highlight of it was just by that point, that was the very, the authority as it was at that point was like long over. But Steph had still never, ever at that point gotten like any sort of like comeuppance for being such a raging bitch through all of the authority angle. So then they had that match and it was like, Ronda's like, I'm going to fucking break your arm. And we're all like, oh, yes, finally, someone is going to do it. This is great.
Yeah, Keith.
And we just all...
It was a new toy too. It was nice and shiny. We didn't know anything.
And we all rode that high for a little while. And then it was once those like bigger things. So there was that. And then there was her and Charlotte and Becky and the triple threat. And it was like, okay, this is a new thing. We're excited by this. Women are main event in WrestleMania. Yeah. 3 of them are main event in WrestleMania for both titles. Maybe not no one. I certainly didn't want Ronda to win that one anyway. And I'm glad she didn't. But it was... you took, in doing that though, that match even in and of itself, that 3-way, you took away you put 2 money matches she could have had and shoved them into one, because rather than having just her and Becky and just her and Charlotte, you have all 3 of them working now. And it's like, okay, well now when you do, if they ever do Ronda Becky later on down the line, I'll still watch it because I want to see Becky beat her, but like, I'm not as invested anymore, It's unfortunate Becky got her face busted up before Survivor Series that year and had to like go out of that match, but that could have been solid. That would have saved a lot of things for it too. I think it's just like, like Dave said, she doesn't really have a character. Every time she cuts a promo, whether she's heel or face, it's the same promo. It's just a different tone. It's, I'm going to kick your ass. Like, I'm going to kick your ass because I'm the baddest bitch on the planet. Or I'm going to kick your ass because I'm the baddest bitch on the planet. And it's like, cool. The first one you were a face, this time you're a heel. You're just saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And you're not really going anywhere with it. And you, Nick, you had mentioned like the Jade thing. I feel like she's in a different position with that. Cause like Jade, I have my own, you've heard me rant a million times about that of where does that go? Ronda has at least like lost though a couple times to other people, so it's not going to be like as when she inevitably loses the belt again here, hopefully sooner rather than later, it's not going to be as like big of a deal for whoever beats her. It's just going to be like, oh, like it's going to be so good when it happens, because we're going to be like, oh, finally Ronda doesn't have the belt again, thank God. Like she'll go away for like 6 months and maybe we'll be happy when she comes back, but probably won't still.
She does nothing for me.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like she's not, I think if Ronda had come along like 12 years ago, we'd be having a whole different conversation. Like if she had come in toward the tail end of the Divas era, it'd be a whole different thing. Cause it would just be like, wow, here is this like actual like fighter who like does submissions and all this other kind of crazy shit. Now the majority of the women on the roster are excellent wrestlers, so they just make her kind of look like she doesn't know what she's doing.
Can I ask you guys something that
Sure.
kind of brings up a good point or like a segue here for people who come into these companies and what's going on, Toe? No, they don't need Goldberg, man. It's like this running joke that he has. He always says they need Goldberg. That'll fix them. No, they don't. They do not. But no. So with like Ronda and let's say Dominic, Jade, all those people, right?
Yeah.
We would like say that they're not ready for most of this shit, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the best route for Dominic was NXT, but your father is Ray, and I think that just You got to do what you got to do. I mean, he came back for that reason and that reason only. And him and Vince probably had like a handshake deal, come back, sell your merchandise because he still sells. And, Ray said, well, I'll do that, in return, let's get Dom on the main roster. Yeah. I think you're close. You're hitting something there. I think you're working with something. It's an odd thing to do, but you know what? If you gave so much to this company, you're going to ask for something. And, Dom's getting there. He really is.
It's crazy, though, because I'm looking at Ronda and I'm looking at Dom and I'm looking at, everybody. Why is it that some people get that push directly to the main roster and then some people have to go through the NXT route?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're doing.
That's all it is. That's all it is. I mean, like Nick said,
because Shayna Baszler came from the same industry that Ronda Rousey did, and she had to go through up the ranks to finally get where she's at. She's not even.
Shayna sweated it out on the Indies too. There's some awesome matches you can find of her in PWG. She sweated it out on the Indies, like she paid her dues that way too, coming in. But
she was on Shimmer and stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Shimmer. Yep. But yeah, it's the money. I mean, like I said, as much as like we say it here, Rousey still was enough of a name when she first came in. Like they're going to throw her right up there. Dom's one that I feel like Dom will be good. Yeah, I think he did get rushed up a little too quick and was like still needed some seasoning. But it's fucking Rey Mysterio's son. Like let Rey Mysterio let Ray and Dom be in the performance center for like 2 weeks without anybody else in there and just leave them alone. And then
that's Dom the thing though. Like I feel like he's had more than enough time.
Yeah.
It feels like I've said this before on a podcast.
I mean, it's in his blood.
It feels like to me, this was like a last resort occupation he wanted to go towards because he's like 27 now. And he's not, to me, I feel like he's just not getting it. Like none of his matches are bangers. I don't know if it's because he's not given enough time in the ring.
Yeah.
Or I'm not mentally giving him a chance. But
no, I don't think that's it. I mean, you're not the only one that says that. I mean, Keith, you joke around often about Dom. So we see it,
absolutely.
We see it. We see there's a disconnect, and it's just you can't send him back down.
Yeah,
you can't
I think he got a bad hand too because it's like because he's Rey Mysterio's son, he's fucking taller than Rey. He's more. I don't want to use the word built, but I mean I'm a fat dude too. But he's bigger than Rey. Like he's taller and he's like thicker than Rey is. But I think because he's got that Mysterio last name, we're all just expecting him to like. I think. I'll speak for myself. I don't want to speak for the wrestling as a whole, but I feel like I kind of can here. Like, I feel like when he walked in, we were all just expecting him to just be like, okay, he's going to come out with a mask too. He'll pop up from the stage with the shit and he'll run down and be able to just doom, 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 and jump. And it's like, well, he probably will be able to eventually, but he's a bigger dude than Rey is. So he's not going to do a lot of that stuff.
Progress though.
Yeah.
The mic skills are
in the main
a
roster
little
for
better.
Like 3 years.
Has it been 3?
3 or 4?
It has to be.
And he doesn't look like he's working out.
No.
I mean, nothing's changed physically.
He actually looks like he gained some weight, to be honest.
Right. Like I saw the Thanksgiving clip. He looked like he had a belly on him.
Well, what is that too? I mean, are you just stuck? If you have a job for 30 years, you're just stuck in a rut. Is he just? I guess.
He's going to be fine because he's constantly. He's constantly at the hip with somebody. He's never been by himself.
And you know what? I think this Rhea thing's really helping him. I think people really want to see.
I think it's helping her.
Yeah, I think they both benefit, but I think for him it helps. I mean, it helps him in general. It's just people like that need to start in a group or something, start very low on the totem pole. Again, Keith, said money. Money is definitely that part of the equation. having a big name like Ronda. That's part of the equation. So they get inserted in, and we can tell. And you know what, fans, I don't want to say we've ruined it, but I mean, Ronda has a big mouth on Twitter. We know that. Dom, we kind of want him to do what we want. We want him to be Eddie's son, and that's not going to happen right now. We wanted him and Ray to go all out,
Yeah.
We didn't get that. So maybe that is the reason why there's a disconnect with the fans, because we wanted this and we're not getting it. I mean, we can say that with Ronda too. I think there's a couple things we can say that we wanted her to do differently, that she, maybe it wasn't her decision, but she had to do, I don't know.
I think some of it is like with those names and stuff that come in. I think some of it's like the passion that they come in with too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like with Dom, maybe it's like Dom feels almost like you kind of said, Dave, like it's just something where he's just like, well, my biological dad did it. My adopted dad has also done it. So like I should do it too, I guess. And like, not that they're not a fan of it in any way, but it's kind of just like, this is the thing that's like expected of me. So I'm going to go along with it. Whereas, the 3 matches that Bad Bunny looked really good in those. I don't give a shit about his music. I don't, whatever, whatever. He's fine. I don't hate him. I don't really care though. But like, the guy did really good. And like, he did really good for like just being someone that was just like, oh, I was like literally just on a world tour in the middle of like everywhere touring for music. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the Royal Rumble. I'm going to do a friggin' a frog splash off the top rope to the outside. I'm going to hit a Canadian Destroyer on the floor in my, my WrestleMania match. Like,
yeah,
dude went all out because he's a huge fan of wrestling.
Yeah.
And that showed. Pat McAfee, same thing. The guy was a fucking punter for the Colts.
Yeah.
Came in, started talking shit to Adam Cole, had a really good match with Adam Cole. Granted, a lot of that has to do with Adam Cole. An awesome match with Theory, which also had a good bit to do with Theory, but like, the guy just loves the sport, so he's just like, I'm gonna do this, and maybe that is what it is with Dom, where he just feels like it's something that he should do, so he's not really putting as much into it.
It's crazy.
Or could it
Ronda might be the same thing, because I know Ronda was like a fan, but I feel like maybe Ronda got into it, was all gung ho. That's why that first run was great, and then she like kind of had the crushing realization of like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do now, I guess, because I can't really go like. I feel like it's something, unless you're Brock Lesnar and you look like Brock Lesnar does, you don't really go like WWE back to UFC. Like I don't foresee Ronda leaving WWE and going back and having to run in UFC. If she does, I feel like she goes back and gets the shit kicked out of her left and right, probably.
Right.
And gets zero respect from anybody.
Well, I think there's another thing you can look at too. Maybe the storylines, maybe what he's not interested in. I mean, that's a shame. I mean, he is on national television wrestling for, the WWE, but maybe it's the storylines that he's inserted in, and it just, it's a disconnect. Like I didn't care about him at all when it was him and his dad, and we kind of wanted that, and it kind of like, disappeared. It came back. They're wrestling again. They're not wrestling. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's a good question.
How long do we stop before we stop giving Dom excuses? Like, I'm not saying you guys are, but
no, I understand.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, when do we stop saying, okay, enough's enough? You're not getting this. You know what I mean?
I think he needs like a feud of his own to sink his teeth into, to see if it's a sink or swim. Because like we said, I mean, it was like he came in, he was with Ray forever. They had their feuds, but it was always like me and my dad. And now he's in Judgment Day, which I like Judgment Day. I love Rhea. But he's kind of Rhea's little puppet, does her bidding and everything, which is great.
And he really doesn't fit in the group, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, he seems like an outcast.
It's weird.
It just doesn't seem like he fits with that group. I think you got to do the sink or swim soon. I just don't know when that's going to start. I just don't know what you do with him. I mean, what do you do? I mean, you got this opportunity. He's okay in the ring. Do you put him in a group? Maybe something like Vega, when she started out with the two whatever. I don't know their names. Garza and Humberto.
Yeah.
Do you do that? I mean, it's just
weird how they're doing it too, because he had a match with AJ Styles and won.
Yeah, and it wasn't a bad match. It wasn't an amazing match. I think AJ, obviously, Hall of Famer.
Exactly. AJ carrying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, you put AJ in a match and, the guy's already over. So It's just, I don't know. I don't know when the buck stops. I don't know when you say, okay, you did a good job, but you're just not, I don't think it's going to happen because of Ray and, his history with the WWE. I don't know. I mean, I'm pulling for the kid because I think he's, getting there, but how long does it take? I mean, look at Austin Theory. I mean, that's just passion and motivation, the will to succeed. I mean, there's just a different, mental state of mind when you look at both of them. Young kids, Austin Theory's killing it. He was in a shitty situation. Now look at him. I mean, you can blame the storyline, you can blame the passion, or you can blame, that Ray's his father. But at the end of the day, I think it comes down to how much do you want it? And it shows. I mean, it does, right? I mean, yes, he has good matches, decent promos, but at the end of the day, does he sell? And that's what they're looking for.
Right. And I mean, right now I guess he does sell a little bit because he's with Rhea. Like, he sells, but not on his own, like, at all. You know?
It's a great question.
And I think it's tough too, because it's like it feels like he doesn't even have, like, some people you can kind of look aside with because they have like one or the other, or they have both but they can't do one. Like, I'll always point to I fucking love Sami Zayn. Always have. I've been a fan of El Generico even from back in the day. Like, I love the guy. But like, it used to frustrate me so much when like he first got his call up, or not like first got his call up, but like when he first turned heel, when I was just like, dude, he doesn't wrestle like El Generico anymore, which was so much cooler, just fucking flying all around, fucking blue thunder bombs left and right. So it's just all this madness and everything. And he did it a little bit in NXT and stuff, but like once he came up and had that heel turn, like it was gone. And I was like, fuck. But like when that happened, he's still so good, like on the mic with all his conspiracy bullshit stuff and everything. And the feud with Knoxville and all that. I'm just like, okay, ooh, I want that, but I'm okay with this too, because you still are pulling out a blue thunder bomb here and there. You're still hitting Yakuza kicks, even though you're calling it something different now. And like, you're still doing these things that I'm okay with, and this is okay.
Yep.
But it's like Dom is sort of slowly kind of getting better on the mic, but not really. Mildly better on the mic than I feel like he is with his actual ring work, but his ring work's still all the same. It's like the funniest thing in the world to me when he does the fucking 619, because I feel like there was a match on AEW where fucking Brian Cage did a 619 that looked more graceful than Dom's, and Brian Cage is a fridge of muscle. Like, it's just,
I don't know. So, have we ever seen something like this? Like I mean, Charlotte, you didn't have to, she is amazing.
I was gonna say Randy Orton, but no, not really.
I don't think we've ever had this son duo, and the son's not really as good as, the dad. Then again, you really can't compare, Randy to Bob Orton, Flair, Charlotte to Rick, or Ray to Dom.
It's hard to.
But you can tell that, Charlotte's a Hall of Famer, Randy, first ballot. So this is interesting. That's another good question. Have we ever seen something like this?
Well,
maybe the Samoans, right? Didn't they have like a group with Randy?
Rikishi and his sons.
There has been, but not really, because it's Ray is like the first one that Ray's like the first one that had kind of that more like, when Ray was in his prime, he was wrestling like that style. That's like the kind of norm now, like the real quick flippies, everything, because he was the cruiserweights and everything. Like when you go to, Charlotte and Rick, like, Rick was doing 50-minute Broadways with headlocks and chest slaps and everything and figure fours and stuff, which was, it's great and everything. I'm not taking anything away from that, but
different
like
time.
Ray always, like, he wrestled a style that's still relevant today, and and it's like, so Dom has to like meet up to that standard. Whereas like, you know, with Randy, same thing. Bob Orton wore a cast for forever because that was his heel move, and you know, made this like the superplex was his finisher, which is still like brutal and everything. But like Randy kind of just like took that and like tweaked it to the next level, and that's where he is with it. Like it's none of those other comparisons. Even with like Rikishi's not getting in a ring with his sons anytime soon. I mean, I think he's like only gotten like bigger since he retired. He's still a trainer. I would absolutely. I mean, yeah.
I think the older one, the taller one, I think he has, you know, he could be going somewhere. Yeah, I mean, I know didn't they have that legacy group with one Samoan, Cody? Was that before?
What the hell was his name?
Was that before Teddy? Right before DiBiase, or maybe no? It was all three of them, all four.
No, it started with it started out as Orton, Ted DiBiase Jr. and
I don't know.
I wanted to say Samu, but it wasn't Samu. But then Cody Rhodes joined because then it was a tag title match. It was supposed to be Randy Orton and Hardcore Holly were the tag champs. And then it was them versus supposed to be Ted DiBiase and a mystery opponent, and they came out and Cody turned on Hardcore and won them with Ted DiBiase, which didn't really make any sense. But no, god damn, what the hell was his name? I can see his friggin' face.
I'm not very good with the history.
Shit, he was in there for like literally maybe 3 weeks of TV, and they kicked him out because he was just like out of shape and not good.
Nick is on the case.
Yeah, damn it! I keep wanting to say it was Samu, but I don't think that's right. I feel like that was like actually one of the Wild Samoans.
Was it Manu?
That's it.
Okay, because there's two.
Thank you.
Looks like there was more than one. Looks like
that's weird.
Deuce was in the mix for a little
too. Sim Snuka, I forgot about that. He was in it until he got fired because he didn't catch the Undertaker at WrestleMania 26. 25.
He needs that time on the Indies the way Drew did back in the day.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. It's
for Dom. Yeah, I mean he would. That'd be great, but I don't think that'll ever happen.
He just needs more practice, and
I feel like Ray would show a shit flip if he did that.
Yeah,
I just think back because like he's been around this business his whole life. I mean, his whole life.
Odd.
You would think you would know you would have it by instinct. I mean,
yeah.
Then again, maybe he's getting there. You know, slow and steady.
I think it was a mistake to put him out on national TV right away.
Yeah, I think they know that.
That's
too.
That's the worst way. That's the worst way to learn. That's throwing somebody out to the wolves.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's unfortunate because if you do drop him back to NXT now,
you can.
It'd be good for him, like in terms of like trying to get some seasoning and all. But then
But why not? Though?
You know,
there's Apollo Crews.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, is like they did it. I was just about to say, like outside of like a select few that they've done that with, that have gone back and like have started to shine to bring themselves back. Like I feel like any day now, at the latest Raw after WrestleMania, Toxic Attraction as a whole is coming up to the main roster.
Absolutely.
Like Mandy got dropped back down, and Mandy has completely shut the shit up out of everybody.
Yeah,
she has been crushing it down in NXT.
Yes,
on the mic, they're going to come up as a whole. Yeah. They're going to come up as a whole together at the latest after Raw after WrestleMania, if not sooner, and that's going to be great. Apollo went back down, but like when he did, that's the whole thing. Is you're going back down, exactly. And the people that do that, I have a little bit more respect for. Where they're just like, you're not. When was it? That was more back in the day. I forget who it was that like they straight up went to Vince and it was
Yeah, it was recent.
What was it, Finn?
It was
Finn. That was like the first.
Shit, I want to say it was. Luke Harper before he left and became Brody Lee and like went back to being Brody Lee. They weren't using him on TV at all or whatever. And it might not have been him. Somebody like went to Vince at one point though and was just like, "You're not doing shit with me up here on main roster. Let me go back to NXT." And I don't remember if they like let him or not, but like it's just it's still like that stigma, like especially when you have Triple H in interviews being like, "Oh, they beat our developmental." Like NXT is awesome for a lot of things in its own right, but it's developmental. So it's like to have someone go back and it's going back. You know what I mean? It's like it's looked at as a demotion. You can want to go back and you can want to work on yourself and all and everything, and that's great. Like more power to you and stuff. But like, you know, Apollo went back down. I'm not really much more interested in Apollo now that he's down there. It's a weird gimmick where he can like see the future. If that's like actually your gimmick, then you should be the best wrestler ever because you should be like, we're going to have this match. Wait a minute, I'm going to lose. Never mind, I'm going to leave. Yeah. You know, like have your vision of wait till you have your vision of you won the title, then you wrestle that match and win the title. And cool, awesome.
Yeah.
So like I'm not that much more interested in Apollo. Dijak just came back. I love him, but he might do well too because T-Bar was fucking stupid. And he wasn't anywhere, so like that might be a little bit different, but like, you know, you go back down for like more seasoning, but it's always going to be seen as a demotion. And I think before you get to that point, you do like I kind of said, like give Dom something to try to sink or swim on the main roster. And if he sinks, great, let him sink to the bottom past the pool and he drops back down and shows up in developmental. And let him hopefully do something like a Mandy Rose where he completely just flips the script and just like starts working his ass off and proves it. Give him a run with the NXT, the North American title if he gets to that point or something, you know?
Yeah. I think there's a few things. Again, the passion. I think that's missing. I think that
Sorry, the Ziggler thing. That made no sense at all. I didn't get that either.
Yeah, and I think the passion's not there, and the storyline just, you know, doesn't really fit with the Judgment Day. It's cool that he's with Rhea. I think maybe Ray's hurt. Maybe that's the issue. I just, what's the reason with the Thanksgiving thing? You know, maybe they're starting to build back to the storyline that seems like it's never ending. You know, it's like the never ending tour. I just don't know I don't know. I mean, we could talk about this all night.
Yeah, right.
It is a phenomenon that I don't think we'll ever see again, you know?
Well, I feel like Ray has said in the past, like he doesn't, not even just like storyline wise, like I think like in legit like interviews and stuff, he was like, I'm not going to fight my son. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to feud with my son.
Yeah. But
which is a shame because you kind of, you wrote the story to that you kind of have to now, you know?
Yep. I mean, that's the payoff. WrestleMania, Dom goes over. You know, maybe Vicky comes up and it's something.
He looks
I mean,
good.
It's bound to happen. You're not going to send him down. You're not going to fire him. I mean, I don't know.
So with you saying like there's a stigma with the people going to NXT, it being a demotion. How do you feel about Dark and Elevation? Think that's the same deal? Or do you think that's just another way of building a story? Because we've seen it both ways where it could be considered a demotion but also like look at what Athena's doing.
Yeah.
She's making a story with every match she has on Elevation.
Exactly.
Being the crap out of people.
I think with Dark and with Dark Elevation, it's like a different beast because it's like, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say that I watch Dark and Dark Elevation every week because I certainly don't. I can't even remember. I don't know that I've ever actually watched an episode of Elevation. You know, truth be told.
Yeah.
But like with those, it's not often, but like once in a while they'll just be like, oh, by the way, like this past week on Dark, like Claudio beat fucking whatever. What's the Jersey Shore guy's name? Zach Clayton. Like, cool, awesome. But like they'll randomly just have like it's not often, but once in a while it'll be something of like, oh, and on Elevation this week, Eddie Kingston, you know, beat the piss out of Serpentico because he's been pissed off from the storyline going on up here. So like there's still that cross thing. Like, sure, you have like a lot of your mainstays that only really show up on Dark and Dark Elevation. And that's the point, is to kind of, that's their seasoning and everything that way. But it's more, they use them more, I feel like, as like crossovers where you'll occasionally catch someone who is in the main mix or who has been seen on Dynamite. Athena being a prime example of that. Willow Nightingale, which she needs to come up. I mean, if they're not going to hire someone else to dethrone Jade, Willow should, but that's just me. I love Willow Nightingale.
I think from my point of view, I think we think too much of Dark and Elevation. I think it's a YouTube channel or YouTube, series for a reason. I think that's where people go to get in, some reps. I don't know if that's more than what it needs to be. I think it's good. I think it should be on YouTube. I don't think it's worthy of a TV deal. And I think people that are, into wrestling, like one guy that I interviewed last probably 2 months ago, he's making his what do we got?
Serpentico, the goat of dark. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
He is. It's the GM.
Yeah. Lost my train of thought. Okay.
Sorry, bro.
Indie guy that I interviewed, he's on Dark, so I'm going to watch it. I don't think there's more than that. I mean, what can you do with YouTube TV or channel? YouTube series. I mean, you just can't. YouTube shows, I guess. You can't do much for it other than, reps. That's what it is. It's not NXT. It's not anything. It's not a developmental brand. It's get on YouTube, get some reps in. If we like what we see, you're going to be called up. I mean, like I said, the person that I just interviewed, this is his second time on Dark. That's what you do. You work to that,
Right. Yeah.
That's it. That's all it is.
What do you feel about people wanting YouTube or ROH for YouTube for ROH? You think it'd be the same deal?
I mean, that's the ROH topic is another great one we can sit here and go off on for a while. I feel like that was something. My firm belief is Tony bought Ring of Honor just so that WWE couldn't buy the tape library. Exactly. I don't think he actually has any fucking plans with it at all. I don't really think, I think he respects the legacy of it and all because he is like a wrestling fan and everything. And he's like said that multiple times. And
you think he just bought it just as
the tape library kind of does benefit them a little bit more because of all the Young Bucks stuff that happened in Ring of Honor and everything. But
and it's good.
I feel like honestly, he just did it so that he could have the tape library so that WWE couldn't. Because if if WWE had Ring of Honor's tape library, I would just want Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens to continue to feud forever because they have all of that to just show. Just they have them feud, and then 1 week don't even have them have a match. Just put on Owens Generico ladder war. Just because, don't even say anything. Just ring the bell and everything like it is a WWE match, and then just play the video of them fighting ladder war in the fucking the gymnasium they're in Bristol, Pennsylvania. Those guys are fucking. They're so good, and I think he bought it so that WWE couldn't buy it. Might have had some plan, but then as soon as he got it in his hand, he just went "Oh boy,
now what?
Oh no, what? I don't know what to do now."
Jericho's the greatest. Go ahead.
No, I'm going to touch on the same thing. You was gave the world title to Jericho, which to me only made sense if you were going to give it to him to then go to TV with something shortly after, so that Jericho is the name value to pull the wrestling fans who might not have any stake in Ring of Honor at all, pull them to come watch this Ring of Honor show. But there's still been all this talk where they're just we don't really know. Maybe we'll have one. I don't know though. He's so avoidant to a TV deal or a show or a streaming or an anything with it that it's
right.
All right, well, for now, it just makes no sense. We were talking when we did our prediction stream for Full Gear. I made the joke of it's different now because Full Gear happened, but people forget about the fact that Dalton Castle and the boys are the 6-man Ring of Honor tag team champions because they're barely, or no, it was, who did I say it was? We were in our group chat. It was when Dalton Castle had the match with Jericho because Jericho was beating all the old Ring of Honor champions. Yeah. And Castle came out, and I think it was Ritter in our Twitter chat was just what's that belt that Castle's wearing? And I was it's the 6-man tag belts. You could have been fooled if you fucking knew he had them because they don't ever do anything with them, and they just introduced their own trios titles.
Oh, that's true.
So
man.
You just have all these
many other things
you
going
have all
on.
these champions and stuff. It's fucking, oh my God.
I don't even remember who's the pure champion.
Garcia.
Wow.
But they just had the whole thing with Athena and Mercedes Martinez. She didn't even come back with the women's champion belt. She didn't even have the women's belt on.
That's another thing we can talk about too, because Thunder Rosa had to go basically give it up, and then they had to have an interim. So why did they have an interim for her but not for Mercedes?
The interim everything is the dumbest thing that ever happened in Ring of Honor, but that's a whole different thing. It's just it's all these belts, and I mean, Young Wolf there, they do defend him on Dark and Elevation, but we just talked about so what is Ring of Honor then? Because if Ring of Honor is just these belts that are being defended on AEW YouTube TV, like YouTube clips and stuff. Like,
yeah,
that's not selling me to watch Ring of Honor. And the Jericho stuff, there's a lot of story to be told there. But even with that, you got to start bringing more stuff in. He's going to fight all the old Ring of Honor champions, any of them. Okay, you're fighting Claudio again for the second time now. You beat Claudio for the championship, so it's kind of tough to really consider. I mean, he is a former Ring of Honor champion, but that's a tough sell. Where's Davey Richards? You know, where's our boy? Like, where's Davey Richards? Where's fucking Low Key? Where's Jonathan Gresham? Exactly. Where's shit? I mean, Cody. A lot of them I know it's tough because they're in WWE. He fought Danielson already, though. You know,
that's the issue, Keith.
Yeah, I mean,
we don't need the big name Chris Jericho. That's not what Ring of Honor is all about. It's just, that's not it. And okay, you know, a buzz, kind of like AEW. Who's the first champion? Jericho. Okay, I get it. It makes sense. But Ring of Honor is different. It's just it's cut from a different cloth. It's not supposed to be on national television. It's supposed to be that indie feel, and it's not what we're getting. I mean, you want more Garcia. You want more guys like that kind of stature. DB, that's the kind of people you want in Ring of Honor. Yes, it's nice to see Jericho as champion. And I'll say it. I said it last week. I think the main event last week of Jericho and Ishii, that's one of my top 5 matches. I mean,
that's good.
We can't complain, but we can complain. You know,
he's the fucking best.
It just doesn't need the title. Yeah,
it was good. You
yeah,
know?
And that's not what we're saying.
Banger matches.
Exactly. We're not saying that. We're just saying, well, I want something different. I want that grunge feel. That's why NXT was amazing. That's why Ring of Honor was amazing. And it's just too much on his plate. You know, Jaguars, that soccer football team. You got AEW Dynamite, Rampage, you know, Dark. You got the shit with Punk, shit with Bucks. I mean, there's a lot on his plate. He needs help. He really does. Regal's not the answer. No producer is going to help him there. You just need to sit down and have time. He doesn't. I mean, he says that in interviews. I don't have time.
And that's the thing, though, is that you kind of just hit it right there, bro. Like, he has Regal. I know Regal wasn't like really the GM of NXT for all that time, but like the guy was still, he was running performance center classes and shit. You're in this setup now where, you know, we joked about for the Full Gear predictions, fuck you, Justin, the Combat Club now, because the Blackpool part of it's gone. So like whatever's happening with that, like Regal just split away from that. Have Regal just show up like, you know, next week and just be like, listen, Mr. Khan, you're not doing anything with this brand that has a legacy. I'm taking it over. And just then, you know, have it be, you know, the invasion angle like we should have kind of had. Like, make it better of having just him show up with Ring of Honor dudes and just start beating the piss out of whoever's having matches on Dark and Elevation, at least at first, to make it just like, this is no longer AEW Dark. This is Ring of Honor. Fun name.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like,
don't call it Dark. Call it something else. But, you know, have them put their own friggin' banners up. Just at first, it's just poster boards that just say ROH that they put over the AEW things for them to be on TV stuff. You know what I mean? Like, have it start out crude and then just build it up to make it an actual Tony relents and just like, all right, you're right.
Yeah.
It's yours now. And have people come out so he can do his thing.
Get rid of Rampage.
Yeah.
I've heard that rumor. I've heard that rumor that they would turn Rampage into the Ring of Honor TV. I feel like that's... I feel like it could work. I feel like it could work. I don't see why.
Yeah, but TNT doesn't want that.
Yeah,
that's why they have it.
Yeah, they want AEW.
Come on, you think Tony wouldn't do that? I think the other thing too, it's kind of like 205 2.0. You know, it's just like it's there, but it's there. You know, I mean, Ali can have banger matches, and you know, Jericho can have great matches, but it's just there. It's just Ring of Honor. That's all it is. I mean, at the end of the day, what is it? You can't, there's no description. There's no definition of the new Ring of Honor. I mean, you can say what you want about it, but you don't know what it is. And it's kind of like 205 Live. I mean, yeah, it was cool. Enzo did some cool things. Ali had some banger matches. Alexander had some great matches. I mean, there's a lot that you can say, okay, you know, that was, you know, good, but it's not, you don't see the Cruiserweight title, right? So at the end of the day, it did not do its job. You know,
well,
the tournament was
Live,
amazing.
205 Live by the end had like fucking Gold Dust and Odyssey Jones like showing up having matches on it, so it didn't even matter. Like 205
Enzo
or under.
was
Like
champion at one point.
Odyssey Jones was like 400 pounds, I think. Dude's a monster.
Yeah.
It's, you know, like I said, I mean, what I started off on all that with, I really just think it comes down to, I think Tony bought the Ring of Honor library so that WWE couldn't. Because if WWE could have, there's a lot more, like I was just saying with the whole former Ring of Honor champion thing, they have so much of the Ring of Honor championship like history at this point is in WWE. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Cody, AJ Styles, Rollins, you know, like so many of them are there that like it would have made so much more sense.
Too. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying AEW doesn't by any means. I'm just saying that like with the like I feel like it's the people that had a lot more like longer, I guess, reigns with stuff in Ring of Honor tend to be in WWE. Like Steen had Kevin Owens had like multiple Ring of Honor title reigns.
Right. What Kenny is saying is exactly what I was trying to say earlier is have a YouTube show and build it up till you get TV.
Yeah.
But my thing is, my only issue with that would be, is anybody going to watch it? Because like you said, nobody really watches Elevation.
Yeah.
Nobody really watches Dark. Are they going to sit down and watch a YouTube ROH show?
Yeah, it could be something like NXT UK. I know they were doing really good before the pandemic, and they, you know, were doing decent afterwards when they finally got fans back. They did the same thing. I mean, they were talked, okay, you know, another branch of NXT. Cool. That's good. We're growing. And it started slow. Of course, you had some amazing moments with, you know, Finn and Tyler and Walter at the time. So that helped. But I don't even think they're trying that option. And what you said, Kenny, I mean, they need a show. They need something to say, this is ours. Mm-hmm. And they need Jericho not to be the champion. Again, banger matches, one of my favorite matches of all time from Jericho, but it's not Ring of Honor. Davey is Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. You know, those types of guys. It
makes it worse that, like, none of those guys want to, some of those guys, they don't even want to step into an AEW ring.
Yeah, Davey said that.
I mean, they publicly said, some of them publicly said they don't want to.
Well, it's not the Ring of Honor. It's not. It's not the Ring of Honor from the past. I mean, again, video library, yes, awesome. But it's just like, you got too much on your plate, dude. You really does. Yeah. And it's a shame. But, banger.
Damn. NXT got screwed up by the speaking out movement.
Yeah, that did not help either.
Yes.
That kind of trashed British wrestling as a whole.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, you have anything else you would like to bring up?
No, man. This was a lot of fun, bud.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
We can close it out here. Before we get off here, tell the lovely people in the chat or whoever's watching this on VOD where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at the UW Pod and Instagram at UW Podcast. We do have a fancy website. Check that out. Videos, audio, anything you want, everything you want, uwpod.com. And this Thursday, we're going to the debate stage with a bunch of buds, friends, and it's going to be a good time. Check it out. Type the Universal Wrestling Podcast into YouTube. You'll find us, and we'll be there Thursday night, 7:15.
Yep.
Hopefully, I'll be there too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then I'm on. So I'm with that's all the main UW Pod stuff. I'm also on Twitter at Keith of the Ring. It's Keith of the Ring. And I'm also on Instagram at _ Keith of the Ring. Somebody stole that one before I got it, so I have an underscore to start it there. But
nice.
Not as active on Instagram, but I throw a bunch of bullshit all over Twitter all the time.
Good. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys tomorrow for AEW Watch Party. I've been Pro, and this has been the show. Talk to you guys later.
Right on.
Junior watching, I be on my ex-strippers, new killers, shot, tell 'em